Like I said earlier, I am a worship guitar player. I play at churches, I play at events like that. So clean to overdriven tones is kind of usually where I like to stay and put my tone. So I have a few examples here today. We'll go back down to the pedalboard cam. We have a version 1 Hungry Panda. That this was actually one of the prototypes when I started doing the switch and the germanium stuff. And you'll notice that it has an extra pot. You'll notice this one also over here has an extra pot as well. This one is very similar. What I was doing in these differently was testing out different clipping styles. This one being a little bit more of a high gain silicon type style, while this one is a more of a germanium, a lot more compressed, low headroom type thing. With actually, this one is a clipping diode toggle, and this one is a brightness toggle. And yes, Jason, this one is very, very similar to the one you had. Yours was when I decided to turn the gain knob into a internal trim pot like I have on the new ones. So I primarily use my Hungry Panda as like a slightly dirty clean boost. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. But I just like to push the front end of a clean or slightly dirty amp to give it just a really killer tone. So let's add some reverb. Let's pull out the worship guitarist in me, and let's do something with the Hungry Panda. So as you can see, the Hungry Panda is a very, very, dare I say, transparent. That's such a buzzword. How about let's just say it's very, maybe y'all can think of a better way to describe it because of the transparent label. It's not a tube screamer. None of those things, actually. Not close to any of those things. Yes, I did do something to this switch in the new one. And that's why I said, Jason, that I need to send you this new one because it's far, far, far superior to the one that I did before. The version 1, this one is far superior. The version 1's good. It can get you some good tones. This one is better. It's better in so many more ways. I actually... the general basis of the circuit is very similar to the version 1, very similar to this guy or even this guy here, but the clipping circuit is where it got really different. So it turned from a brightness toggle, basically turning a capacitor on and off in the output of the circuit into... not as subtle for sure, definitely not as subtle. But it turned it from a brightness toggle into a clipping diode switch, a two-way clipping diode switch. that goes from a germanium. It's actually an asymmetrical germanium clipping on the Hungary side, and then on the Stuff side, it's more of a, as you notice, it's wide. It's kind of a wide open, big, clean boost type sound with just a little bit of crunch. That is actually a combination of like an LED and silicon diodes in there to achieve that. You can see this one's very different wired. This is actually the prototype for it, for my own personal collection. This, I will say, not because I made this pedal. This pedal does not leave my pedal board, ever. I don't ever take it off because this is always on. I'll stack the Fox on it. I may pull in a blues driver. I may pull in a, whatever. I don't even know, a tube screamer sounds killer with this. Let's see, Tony, what's the Hangry mod version then? So that's, you're probably referring to the Stompbox Fuzz, I'm assuming. Yeah, because I put a little bit of a mod on that, made it a little bit higher headroom, a little bit more gnarly, if you will. Yes, that is a bit of a different clipping circuit, and it's pushing the transistors a lot more overall in that circuit. So it's producing more of a fuzz rather than an overdrive. Yes, yeah. So yeah, the Stompbox Fuzz is definitely pushed to the point where it's producing more of a fuzz than an overdrive, unlike this. This is like a super pulled down, settled compared to that. Jason, yes, there is more gain. There is a lot more gain. So those germanium diodes, they didn't produce a ton of gain. They did, but not a lot of headroom. And I know what you mean by that. Yeah, so I actually added a different diode in there, running asymmetrical with those germanium diodes. So what that means is making the waveforms less even across the board. They're more like the harder you play, the more dynamic it'll become. And that's kind of what I chose to do with that germanium side, because I really wanted it to feel like as you dug in, the amp was really, really crunching more and more. And then, yeah, that Stuff side is really can be an overdrive, very light overdrive with super high headroom, or it could be a clean boost. If you want to boost the front end of the amp, if you want to boost another drive pedal, whatever you're wanting to do with that. So the as you can tell, that Stuff side is very boost-like. It's pretty much giving you like a clean boost. And yeah, I just saw that I was muted. How embarrassing. Guys, how embarrassing. Anyways, yeah, so the Stuff side, I'm so this live stream, although it might look decent, I was so unprepared, I felt like. I was so unprepared. But I'm glad some people like it, is all I'm saying. It's all I'm saying. So, yes, you can see on this side, with the Stuff side, it was definitely more of a clean boost rather than that big, airy, super driven kind of sound. And then on the germanium side, there was just like a little bit of crunch, just a wee bit, not enough to like be an overdrive. I wouldn't consider, more of just kind of a dirty boost kind of thing. But it doesn't have a whole lot of headroom. I'll kind of show you that. So yeah, I mean on that Hungry side, it definitely pushes, but it's just not a ton. It's not like your typical LPB1 that's just gonna like annihilate the amp because it's so darn loud. So let's roll that gain up. And let's see the other way around what we can achieve. We got some stuff happening here, guys. Woo! Woo! All right. So Mike is getting muted, and we are going to rock on this. Let's do a little jam-ish thing, and see what happens.